Chapter 37. On the way to Oklahoma, Warble alternates between explaining facts and history relative to places through which they pass and singing the song named for the state. He expounds on how the Little League was formed in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, which is true, but then adds that the original name of the town was Keystone Cop City, and was changed to Williamsport after Little League began there because baseball is Williams' sport, referring to Ted Williams, who was batting 1,000 at the time. Probably not true. Then Warble sees a sign for Oklahoma City and bursts into song. Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plains. Later, they pass through Columbus, Ohio, which causes Warble to cease singing and explain to Mary how Columbus is a tweener city, too small to have a professional baseball, football, or basketball team. Professional meaning here MLB, NFL, or NBA, you nitpickers out there in Readerland. But too big to qualify as small, and small is big nowadays, Warble adds. In Huntingburg, Indiana, the singing again stops. This time, the cessation of Warble's vocalizing is caused by the McGorkles stopping at Barn and Mindy's Diner for lunch. As he and Mary sit down at the quaint eatery, Warble says, "You would never know from looking at this town that this was the very spot where the infamous confrontation between Charlemagne and Genghis Khan took place, away back around Civil War time." Charlemagne and Genghis Khan? Mary asks. That's right, Warble affirms. They settled their differences in a unique way. They didn't fight a conventional battle because they didn't want to destroy any of the apple trees in the area. After all, why should trees be cannon fodder? That sounds sensible, Mary agrees. You don't really believe Charlemagne and Genghis Khan cared one whit about apple trees, do you, Mary? Warble responds in disbelief. They only made that concession out of fear of what John Chapman, also known as Johnny Appleseed, would do to them if they molested a single bud on one of his precious seedlings. The Appleseed gang, led by Don Knotts, Jack Elam, and Slim Pickens, were so notorious for their ferocity in warfare, not to mention their expert use of cyanide-tipped blow darts, made from the extract of apple seeds, that even the mighty Khan and his opposite number were petrified of them. Anyway, this drowsy white town got its name from the way they settled their conflict. One man from each army was selected out from their ranks. Volunteers were requested, but everyone volunteered, so a representative from each camp had to be selected, and they engaged in a mutual search and destroy mission. What were they to search out and then destroy? Mary is curious. Each other. They blindfolded the two men and started off one man from this side of that hill over yonder, and one from the other yonder, and they tried to find each other. So what happened? Mary asks, before depositing a couple of French fries into her mouth. One guy caught the other at the top of the mountain, bent him over his knee, and spanked him in front of both armies, as well as other onlookers. The residents of the town, mostly. The victor/spanker declared himself king of the hill. The defeated army left the field in shame, disgrace, and embarrassment. Yes, I'll bet the losing combatant's cheeks were really red. But which army was it? Who lost? Huh? I don't know. You can't expect me to know everything, Mary, Warble retorts, feigning indignation. Inwardly, he is gloating that Mary really does seem to believe his knowledge is boundless, whereas in reality he knows there are a few minor gaps in it here or there. Warble figures he only knows approximately 94.2% of all that there is to be known. It just so happens that this one little meaningless and inconsequential factoid about who won the Charlemagne-Khan tree-friendly spanking battle is one of those few and far between facts that he lacks. Anyway, Mary, Warble continues, the point of the whole story is, that is how this sleepy little town got its name. I don't get it. How did they get Huntingburg from that incident? Or is Huntingburg an even newer name than the one it took on after that event? Mary, you need to bone up on your entomology a little bit, Warble suggests. Why? I don't like bugs. Mary replies. Entomology, not etymology, Mary. Word root, stems, and origins. Huntingburg is a contraction of the original name, place where the hunting of burgers transpired. In those days, people had more time for small talk, and so the place names were longer. But that's neither here nor there. Eventually, the name place where the hunting of burgers transpired was reduced to Huntingburg, and finally, Huntingburg, without the H on the end, that is. Why does the name indicate, then, that they hunted burgers? If they wanted a burger, they could have just come here to Barn and Mindy's Diner, Mary reasons. Not that kind of burger, Mary, Warble replies. Burgher with an H. In other words, a citizen. Most of the soldiers were draftees at that time. Due to the great quaking and fear due to the ascendancy of the Appleseed Gang, as well as the general malaise caused by the invention of mayonnaise, a barbiturate, the great armies of Europe could not get enough volunteers. So they were forced to institute a draft which caused the armies to become filled with burghers, citizens, instead of professional soldiers. And so, thanks to the Appleseed Gang and mayonnaise, this town is named not Hunting Soldier, but Huntingburg. After this harangue, Mary is thinking that Warble singing Oklahoma isn't so bad after all, in comparison to his history lessons, that is. But she hasn't heard anything yet.